stumbling in the dark, a silent howl as I dissolve into your arms. Waiting now, seduced by sweet mirage. We could leave or we could stay, so deep stay to wide awake. I can't do this anymore.
All right, this is a Dad Random. Little bit of random ranting this morning. Hey, Walker Snow. I've just been thinking about the big bird that now has dropped a couple days ago. I do have thoughts on it. I talked about it with Kai on my on his live stream. We, discussed the issues of of cost and things like that. But I just thought of a few things that I wanted to bring up, or just really quick, because I've got a few minutes this morning. And there's a let me just throw up. Do I have a? I'm just looking for something here really quick. Trying to see if I have my. Yeah. Anyway, but the thoughts I had in my mind, with me were, well, first of all, this drone is a photographer's dream, and it also is, if you looked at my thumbnail, is literally 3 different drones, and all of these drones, if you look at their history and their if you look at the background. The history of these drones, it's pretty significant. So I did a little bit of like just spec comparing. So these are all of the drones. I've actually owned every single one of these. So yeah, pretty crazy actually. I looked through it and I'm like, oh my God, I flew that one, I flew that one, I flew that one. I even flew the original Mavic 3. The original came out. I would consider myself a beta tester of that. But this drone, if you look at its specs, now it has obviously a 3-camera array, and the significance of those 3 cameras are that you literally can get 3 flight experiences all at the same time. So as I look at this platform, and I start to put it into perspective, and I compare it to the Mavic 3 that I'd already flown with this massive 30 times zoom. You look at the impracticality of that big massive zoom lens, but you look truly at, and what I think about is this. And I think everybody is thinking the same way. I think of this. I think of this camera array when I think of the Mavic 3 Pro's camera array. And it literally gives you, and now most people that use this camera, okay, so if I just go back and we just concentrate on the cameras that are on, whether you have a Samsung Galaxy, Android, it doesn't matter. But when we use this camera, we use it separately, and we use it distinctly, and we do not really zoom it. So as I take pictures, as I decide, hey, I want to take a quick shot, I quickly determine right away what lens I'm going to use. Am I going to be in portrait mode? Do I want that high detail? Do I want that, that depth of field? And then I mess with my, my f-stop a little bit. I mess with my lighting. Or am I just taking regular photos? Am I using my main camera? Am I shooting video? All of those are predetermined with this camera array. Same thing with the Mavic 3 Pro. The Mavic 3 Pro is made not to necessarily have you, be constantly changing the depth and the breadth of the shot. It's basically to quickly go to one camera to the other. So I need this one. I want my telephoto. I want my wide angle. I want my ultra wide angle. Okay, and that's literally what you get when you use those three cameras. So if we're using our iPhone or whatever, okay, now I did some equivalency right there, and you can see that on the iPhone you have a 26 millimeter, a 77 millimeter telephoto, and you have a 13 millimeter. That yellow, it's because it's because it's interfering with my green screen. And let me see if I can get that in there. So from the iPhone 13, I'm just doing this comparison. We had a 1/1.65 sensor. And when we moved to the 14 with the 48 megapixel camera, it went over 1.128. So we get much more, like I said, compressed images, and a lot more cool pictures start to appear. So these were my iPhone specs. So we actually went from a, if you can see that, 12 megapixel to a 48 megapixel camera when we changed from the 13 to the 14 generation. The same thing is happening with the drones. So as we went through our history of our drones, let me just go back to the beginning here. We start with the Mavic Pro, which was a 1/2.3, okay? 12 megapixel camera. That is our standard. And if you look through the history of all of the best drones and the best photography that we've gotten out of the Mavic and the Air line, all of them had a maximum 12 megapixel resolution, and then suddenly they added the bit rate depth, and we started to get 10-bit when the Mavic 2 Pro came out, and we start to develop like I said, a more quality product when it comes to, hey Sudbury, how you doing? I just got some thoughts in here. I wanted to look back really quick on the history of the Mavic line, just for about 35, 40 minutes today. And I'm looking back. I'm going to go back to the Mavic Pro Platinum. That was a really standard camera setting and a system. And if you look at a lot of the toy quads that are now getting really quality, I had somebody put up a message about the, they were asking me, hey, why don't you fly the Hubsan, basically it's the second generation, of the Ace line, and it really carries this 1/2.3 CMOS sensor to about 1. I think it maximizes. Yeah. So if you look at all of the best drones, let's go to the Mavic 2. If you go to the Mavic 2 Zoom, it also carried the 1/2.3. Okay, 12 megapixel camera. You go down all the way through. I'm going down to the Mavic Air. Now the Mavic Air in that Ace 2 or whatever they want to call it, the Black Hawk 2, whatever, it's a really super good camera. Most people, that's all they need. The 1/2.3 inch CMOS. That's a pretty good size sensor. And then we got spoiled. They sent us the Mavic Air 2. I'll never forget putting the Mavic Air 2 up for the first time. And the Mavic Air 2 gave me that bit depth that I finally started to see. I started to see that compression, that larger amount of color. You started to see less definition between objects. Everything started to blend and look more natural. So the Air 2 was really a huge step forward with that half-inch CMOS sensor. That also gave us 48 megapixel still shots, and that's kind of what Apple did when they went from the iPhone 13 to the 14. They call it quad pixel or whatever. So instead of 2 pixels per, it's 4 pixels per per bit. Something like that. I think that's how best way to explain it. But the Mavic Air 2 was a huge step forward, and I didn't have a chance to really fly it that much. I did not appreciate it. And when I went back and I bought the Mavic Air just for fun, because it was really cheap. By the way, you can get a Mavic Air, and if you want to just get good aerial photography, go find a used Mavic Air. It has got a massively great camera. It's got the same camera that the Mavic 2 Zoom has, less the Zoom. And so I know I'm going all over the place, dad random, but I'm trying to build up to what the new Mavic 3 Pro is giving us, and is it worth the $2,000 price tag? Okay, so Mavic Pro Platinum. I think when I was thinking about buying it, it was it was finally under $1,000. And I remember putting it up and flying it out and going, "Oh my gosh, this is one of the greatest flying experience I've ever had." It's compact. You could get out, several miles and really reach out and get some cool shots. And then when the Mavic 2 Zoom came, we increased the ability to get and gather images because we started to zoom out and zoom in, so you could get that, what they call that parallax, but also the dolly zoom effect. And what's happening now with the Mavic 3 Pro is they've taken all of this technology, and I haven't gotten to the lightness, okay, now, because it is not a light quad at all. Because we get into the Mini 2 with the 4K, 1/2.3 image sensor is coming back again. So literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drones that DJI has put out have carried that 1/2.3 inch sensor. And all of them, everybody can admit that the photography you're getting out of that is first rate. It is comparably just, if you compare it to a lot of the things that you have flown, they're the best images that you're getting. And then another thing happens. The Micro Four Thirds comes out and changes everything. And when we go from 1 inch in the Air 2S, when the Air 2S came, we were like blown away. So what we're getting, and a lot of people are, we forget about the sensor size. There are actually 3 camera sensors on this bird. It's huge. It's got a huge camera. The camera is freaking massive. So on the Pro, we get the best of 3 different drones. We get the best of 3. And we're literally flying with 3 drones, including the Mini 3 Pro, which is the new 1/1.3, which makes our sensor bigger. It makes our images more compressed, and we're getting way better quality photography, 48 megapixels. So they basically took the camera in the Air 2S and they tried to mimic it in the Mini 3 Pro. So literally in the Mavic 3 Pro, you are getting the Mavic 3 Classic, or you're getting the regular the Hasselblad camera. You're getting the 1/2-inch CMOS that you got in the Mavic Air 2. Okay, so remember, that was a huge step forward, the Mavic Air 2. So we're getting this sensor. We're getting the Mini 3 Pro's 1/1.3 sensor, okay, at 70 millimeters. We're getting the 1/2-inch for our telephoto at 160. So that really is not going to give you a lot of quality. So in that 1/2-inch, you're basically going to shoot in native. You're not going to do any zooming. The zooming is maybe just to check things out, but I'm not going to zoom any of these cameras. I'm going to use them as is, and I think that's what most people that are doing photography are going to do. How far will it fly? Hey, you will the same distance it flew the last time I flew it. Hey, dude, we're going to put that sucker up on the Red Mountain too. And then the Micro Four Thirds. So instead of having to do all these adjustments, we can go into DLog M, the new DLog M, and get a really good idea of what we're shooting. bring it back in post, and we can shoot in 3 different perspectives. And none of us are going to change the zoom one time. We're just going to be zapping between cameras. We're just going to be clicking between 1, 2, and 3, determining what is the best shot for it in its lossless zoom state. There'll be a few adjustments, but if you go outside of lossless zoom, it's kind of a waste of a day, shooting. So I'm really excited at a lot of the material I've seen. I mean, there's some really good photographers out there that are pros. And I am no pro when it comes to this, but we've gone a long ways when it's come to these drones. I mean, then we got 3 different pro versions and the Cine that will allow you to to really capture ProRes. So, I mean, look at this. Look at the distance we've traveled in only about 5 years. DJI, by far, is the drone company that is leading the pack. And, there's a lot of discussion over, all the issues that DJI is facing. But, yeah, I'm excited for this. So if you want to basically own a drone that does all of the things the Mini 3 can do, all of the things that the original Air 2 could do with its sensor, its 48 megapixel sensor, and all of the things that the Hasselblad Micro Four Thirds camera can do in 10-bit, and then of course you can even increase that to 5K, right? And I mean, it's a really amazing thing, And if you really want to spend the dough, I would never ever spend money on a cinema camera. I don't do that kind of stuff, but I think for the price that they finally put, I feel bad because when I owned the Mavic 3, I had no idea all this other stuff was going to be coming out. Whether that they were going to make connectivity with my my pro goggles, my Goggles 2. Now, will they work with the Integras? Is the Goggles 2 also saying, hey, it's also gonna function with the Integras? I fly in a lot of really harsh lit environments. Freewell also had to freaking just knock it out of the park by putting a very interesting if you think of the filter that's got to go on that giant 3-camera array. So anyway, hey, hi Fly Zone. Oh man, but what do you think? I mean, I've got a few more minutes that I'm gonna, but that's kind of really what I talked about. It's literally just a recreation of this idea. Is that we're going to put 3 cameras on that's going to solve 3 different problems, and photographers are going to have they're going to have more time. They're going to be less encumbered by switching from one camera to another, and that's what I think is really a huge advantage. But look at how far we've gone. And then like I said, I haven't put up the 3 Classic, the 3 Standard that came out, the Cinema version of the 3 when it came out, and it's an amazing platform. The DJI doesn't have to do anything to it at this point, and except for expand into into the other types of cameras this thing can carry. Because literally, if you look at the way the nose has been brought up, it's pretty much made to carry the big FLIR camera, or the big search and rescue type gear. So they basically took that specific platform and then built it up for just adding a couple of cameras. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited for the dollars. For about $2,200, you basically get 3 drones, and that's really the way you have to look at it, guys. I've flown this thing to the top of a mountain, lost it in the mountain shadow, and it's flown home to me. I mean, you can't explain how freaking alien technology that idea kind of is, okay? But it's alien, it's literally alien in my book. So, alrighty, I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to cover this morning. I think I'm gonna do another live stream tomorrow for fun. This one was just a thought, provoking stream. I was just thinking of some things, and I just wanted to bring it up. But check out that if you want to. I'll drop a link to this chart if you want to check it out. I'm building on it a little bit. I didn't have bit rates on here. I was starting to add the bit rates across the bottom, but I'm out of here. I've got things to do today. So for Dad Random and for the Mavic 3, thank you guys for popping in. If you want to check the beginning, some of my beginning thoughts on this subject, about 30 minutes. But that's really what I was thinking is the quality there, is the opportunity there to get value out of this? And I think it is. I mean, it's expensive. I mean, if you've already bought the other versions. So anyway, I'm out of here. Dad Random. Bye.